our first guest for the day has arrived, Professor Dr. Moni Wekesa, and one of the key highlights stories which brought a lot of excitement around Daystar University was Professor Dr. Moni Wekesa being the founding dean of School of Education. And we also mentioned as we started the show, looking just at the CV, it was bringing some excitement, the fact that we have him in the studio today, and we're really, really excited to have you. Professor, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Welcome to Shine FM.
Thank you very much.
How is your morning?
The morning has just started.
There's very little to draw from to know how it is right now.
Oh yes, I do.
First of all, we'd just like to say congratulations on becoming the founding dean of School of Education, and just realizing that this may not be something new on your side, because you've also been a founding dean of the School of Law and also at Daystar University and at MKU back in the days. But what was your feeling, or what is your feeling just getting it again, becoming a founding dean of the School of Education?
Yes, congratulations. I appreciate. The only thing is, when I hear people congratulating me, I'm not sure they fathom the task that is, the hard work that it involves. But then, there I am.
There you are.
I want to see what I can do.
But your curriculum vitae is impressive. I don't think you'd be shocked, by the amount of work. You must be used to it by now, or not yet? It's still a new experience?
Well, I just want to say, like Caleb. You remember when Caleb went to spy the land with the other spies and came back to report? And he said, no, we can defeat those people.
Right.
Even if they are giants, we can win over them. I'm inspired by Caleb, because after about 40 years, he still went back to say, yes, I was promised the hillside and I can conquer it. I'm still strong, and even as strong as I was 40 years ago. So with that, I think I want to see how you're going to do this. Yes.
Wow.
What personal or maybe professional conviction made you accept this particular role?
The opportunity to make a difference. I was, all along, I kept on wondering why education at Daystar appears to be non-existent when education at other universities is the biggest faculty, it's the biggest school. Go to University of Nairobi, Kenyatta University, Hekaton, Moi. The number of education students are overwhelming. The number of staff is quite large. The School of Education is something very big out there. That is one. And then two, there are certain values that Daystar embodies, from which I think future teachers could benefit. And so as I come into this role, I want to have a school that will produce teachers that will be a marvel out there. Teachers whom everyone will notice, teachers who will make a difference in the schools, in the community, in the church, in the ministry.
That is impressive, Dr. I've seen you have a PhD both in law and in sports science. How are you planning to bring these two together to influence the Department of Education in Daystar?
Let me start by saying that you said you looked at my CV. You will recall I have a Bachelor of Education degree, first class honors.
Yes.
So I'm a teacher by excellence. I have taught at Lions High School, Kaimos Teachers College, several universities, and so on. I have it. The teaching, I have it. Now, the law. Nothing happens without the law. For education, we start with the 1964 Ominda Commission, which recommended a change of the education system from the colonial one to what we had running from 1964 up to until the time when the 844 came in.
Right.
We have the Kashathi report, we have the McKay report that eventually recommended the 844. All these are legal documents. Their understanding is key to driving the education agenda in the country and at Daystar University.
Wow, you are really fit for that position.
So like now when you talk about being really fit, and let's go to the other side of now the coin. Are there mistakes or problems that you faced in the initial beats when you were founding dean? Let's go to MKU, founding dean School of Law. In Daystar, also founding dean School of Law. Now, were there challenges and mistakes that maybe you faced or you came through or you committed that you feel like now in School of Education, I'm going to make it right?
Challenges, yes. Mistakes, I wouldn't remember. Challenges, the biggest challenge that I faced in both places is resistance of the other people to change. We are all used to being so comfortable the way we do things that we don't like doing things in a different way. Starting with Mount Kenya University. There was a time I went to supervise students at Makadara courts. I found them wearing t-shirts. They were dressed in a way that that's not acceptable to the courts.
Mm-hmm.
The magistrates locked them out. They didn't tell me. Now, going back to school, we sat down, talked to the student leader, said, now, this can't go on. We agreed to start wearing suits. And we started gradually. They said, okay, let's start with day 1, day 2, gradually, so that to allow them to be able to buy suits, enough suits for them to be able to use throughout, say, a weekend so. After we did that, Kenyatta University School of Law, which neighbors Mount Kenya, came in and borrowed, because our students would then go to Kenyatta University cafeteria wearing suits, and the other ones felt intimidated. So they said they now approached management to enforce the rule of the suits. Now, coming to Daystar, I encountered resistance in that because I was, number one, accused of wanting to create a class structure. But I said, for heaven's sake, these fellows will be wearing suits. They are expected to be wearing suits every day. The sooner they get used to them, the better. We can't have a student finish 4 years without having put on a suit, and then all of a sudden going to Kenya School of Law.
You are required to be wearing
suit.
So,
I haven't finished with the challenges.
Okay.
When I came in, said, I wanted us to recognize Chief Justice Maraka because he had done a tremendous job making a very outstanding judgment that nullified a presidential election for the first time in Africa. My colleagues told me, how can you do that? Your school is new, it has never graduated anybody. Why should it graduate someone with a doctorate, honorary doctorate? I said it shall be done, and it was done. So for me, the challenges I have encountered are ones where people around me don't want to see far, don't want to see tomorrow. Today I'm saying, I'm not in this position for myself. I'm concerned about the teacher who will be there in 2040. What kind of teacher will that be? The teacher who will be there after. That is the teacher I want to prepare now.
Okay, let's talk about the teacher, and the teacher makes up the education sector. The whole education sector in Kenya, it's not something you can be proud of, according to the many headlines we receive often. And part of it is the fact that these teachers are making up a list from EACC yesterday, which is among a list which was naming one of the most corrupt officials in Kenya. The teachers are making the list, even the university lecturers are making up the list. How will School of Education, with you being the dean at Daystar University, try and bring a change or a difference in this particular sector and these particular statistics?
First and foremost, we need to acknowledge two things. Number one, change is incremental. you remember what happened on the 25th of June? The Gen Zs were trying to bring about change abruptly. If that had happened, we would not probably be sitting in this studio now.
Yes.
That is the fear of abrupt change, but change is incremental. Now, if we can have teachers who have imbued the Christian principles that Daystar stands for, we release them into society, they go there and try to implement them, gradually things will change. I will give you an example. I have never bribed a traffic police. I have been arrested by traffic police in Band Forest, in Nairobi, in Naivasha, in Mumias, different places, for various offenses, over speeding. Sometimes I forget to renew my license, or I forget that license, or I forget that the insurance has expired. They waved me down. The latest was in Mumias. I had a 3-year driving license. I didn't know it had expired. I'm stopped. They check it has actually expired. I didn't know the insurance had equally expired. So now, of course, as usual, the traffic police start talking to me in a manner of wanting to get something from me. I said, hey, sasa nasemaje? Hey, you have come on duty. Can you just do your work? I said, okay, 20 station. We went to the station. They wrote the charges. We went to court. I finished the matter in court. I have been arrested, taken to Kibera law courts. I go. I want to follow through the rule of law, not to end up, bribing and compromising what I stand for. When I tell that to my friends, including some others, they get shocked. Like Eldoret, I had to spend my own money and time traveling to go to court several times until the case ended. Many Kenyans don't want to go that route. But I'm saying, if you two here in studio can join me in that, and then other Kenyans join me in that, gradually the police will not be ranked anywhere. Now, the teachers are influenced by society. Our teachers are not well paid. Let's start from there. They have discovered ways of making extra money. This whole nonsense of private tuition is just a scheme to get money from parents. I went to school, never went through private tuition. My children went to school. We refused as parents private tuition. They have made it in life. I don't believe private tuition does anything. It's just a scheme to extort money from parents. We've had cases where principals now get more money from parents to steal examinations. So, this is also coming from pressure around. And then even the fellows in the examinations want that bribe. Fellows wherever want that. Parents are part of the scheme. Oh, I want my child to go to a national school. National school for what? Some of us went to very village schools and we made it in life. You don't have to struggle. Even bribing a principal for your child to go to a national school. It's not the school that really counts, but it's how you bring up that child. But most importantly, we have to work on the parents as well. So the teacher exists in a community with parents, with other people, and so on. The pressures of corruption weigh in on the teacher. It takes a lot of stamina. It takes a lot of principles to be able to withstand these things.
So is it to assume that one of the principles of frameworks that you're going to establish as founding dean of School of Education is to ensure that teachers here are well compensated, or are there other frameworks to ensure that the environment for both the teachers and the students is safe enough to ensure that these pressures are not as much on them?
There is something that Paul, the famous Paul of Tarsus, says. Paul writes, saying that I have learned the spirit of contentment. I know how to live when I have plenty. I know how to live when I have little. If we can embody the spirit of contentment, you will look at what you get and organize your life within it, that's one of the ways of withstanding the pressures.
Right.
So I'm not going to teach people to agitate to earn more. There's no salary that's enough in this world, but how to be content and live within the boundaries, embody the Christian principles.
I love that you've gone to the Christian principles part of this discussion, because my next question is, how do you ensure that, especially because Daystar is a Christian foundation school, how do you ensure that education doesn't become sort of pigeonholed, that we've cut across people who maybe do not subscribe to the Christian faith but still receive quality education from an institution like Daystar?
In terms of not cutting out of the people, we are admitting students both who apply privately and those who come in through COPs. We are receiving everybody. Having so done, once they are here, they are free to mingle with others. Once they are here, they are free to experience the Daystar experience. So that way, there will be no isolation. Number two, there's no attempt to pigeonhole them. Number three, there's no attempt to kind of remove them from society. As we are Daystar, we also, look at Daystar. Quite a number of things happen. I get a lot of reports from the gate, from the watchmen, of things that go on around Daystar and so on. That is a real community. And then now, being able to withstand the pressures even around Daystar is very key to how one is likely to overcome them once outside the confines of the university.
We've heard so much enlightenment in our first segment of this interview, and from here we're still going to talk about the national education system.
Yeah, Professor, we've heard that you've publicly criticized decision making when it comes to things like, public institutions like in MKU. So what's your opinion on CBC? How it's rolling out, how it's been implemented? Is it something that will hold the future of this country?
And to also add on it, CBC has faced lots of challenge and it has affected very, very many students. However, there's sides that are arguing this is actually the thing that this is the curriculum that Kenya needed. So what's your view?
Yes, let me start by correcting something. It's not that I have publicly criticized any decision making, whatever. I've only said that people around us resist change.
Right.
Whether it's MKU, Daystar, and I give you examples.
Yes.
And even in the villages, people don't want change. People resist change. People accept gradual change, not abrupt change. Now, with respect to CBC, I would like us and Kenyans to know that CBC as a curriculum is a very good thing. In fact, we were meant to have gone CBC as early as 1976 with the Kashathi report. Starting from the Ominda Commission report of 1964, whose major concern was to develop manpower to take over from the Europeans who were leaving Kenya. The Kashathi report advocated for something different. What happened is, with the Ominda Commission report, Class 8 was abolished, Class 7 introduced. So we had the 7 years primary, 4 years secondary, 2 years high school, 3 years university. After about 10 years, it was realized that the system had overproduced the manpower it set out to produce. Joblessness had set in. Then someone came up and said, can we have a more practical-oriented education? That is the gist of the Kashathi report of 1976. It advocated for a practical-oriented form of education where learners would learn practical subjects right from primary school through high school. But then that required setting up workshops for carpentry, for metal work, for leather work in all schools. The government couldn't afford that. So it torpedoed that decision. The system continued. It even now became more expensive. Come 1988, the Kamunge report came out saying now we are having very many unemployed people. Can these people be compelled to pay for their education? Then there was something different set in by way of funding, especially of university education. Then the system still continued because the Kashathi report had been shelved. So McKay comes in and says, yes, let's reduce the number of high school years from 6 to 4. To 4, and then increase primary by 1 year. So class 8 was reintroduced, which had been kind of abolished through the Ominda Commission report. Starting the 844, that was meant to be a practical-oriented system of education. The government started it with class 1 and so on, but then as it rolled out, the government realized again that it was going to be very expensive, so practical subjects were gradually hived off the curriculum, dropped. We still ended up with the Ominda Commission reports system of education, which was very theoretical, but now in the 844. And then now, as this has gone on, things have changed around us. There is a lot of creativity. People are making money, not so much by earning a university degree, but by being creative, by coming up with solutions that mean a lot to the world. For example, the mobile phone. One wonders, why are we having the mobile phone now? Growing up, we used to have telephone booths, and they were far and wide. And then one went to the telephone booth with coins, place the coins in, try to dial, then one would get to a receptionist at some end who would say, okay, wait there, I'll get for you your number. Then the receptionist would be busy struggling to get that number, then connect. It was quite cumbersome. But the air was available. Why couldn't we have the airwaves? It needed some innovation for one to see how these messages could be captured and transmitted, like now through satellite and so on. Even the manner of radio has drastically changed. This kind of combination of radio, TV, and so on, all these have come in through innovations. Computing, computers, and so on. Now, when a person invents something useful, that invention serves the whole of humanity, and one is able to get a lot of money from that. More money than one could ever get from a salaried job the rest of one's working life. I'll give you a short quick example. Not too long ago, some 2 young students doing agriculture at a university in California came up using machine learning and AI, came up with a system of spraying farms. The system works in this way, that whatever is used for spraying is programmed so that it's able to pick out the weeds only and leave the crop. So as the machine is flying over a farm, the chemical being sprayed drops on the weeds only. It's able to select and leave the crop.
Wow.
With that kind of invention, a farmer can cover 1,000 acres in 1 hour.
Quickly, yeah.
And that is, if you put there people from Kakamega to weed, they will need 3 years to weed 1,000 acres.
Yeah.
Now,
So do you think CBC actually will allow our students here in Kenya to be able to make such inventions?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Now, CBC, in CBC, you allow a child to be creative. Put a child in a room with some things and just observe what the child is able to do with the things.
Right.
And then now encourage, discourage what could be harmful, but encourage what is progressive. See how to challenge the child more by increasing the number of objects around. Go to class, let the child play around, write about what they want, and so on. I want to tell Kenyans that I am seeing CBC work in my own household. I have 2 grandchildren who go to school in Belfast. When they are visiting me, these youngsters will play with some things here. Next minute they are busy drawing. Next minute they are on tablets. Next minute they are running around with a cat. Next minute they are watching something. You know, their minds are moving around so fast. You just put them in an environment and you don't need to worry about anything. You don't need to keep on shouting at them. You don't need to keep on controlling them.
They are occupied.
They are occupied. The environment occupies them. They are able to pick out what they can do with the environment. For me, that is creativity at its best. At Daystar, I've been approached by students. The first group was from commerce. The other one was from actuarial science. They have come up with some creative things that can change lives of Kenyans. The last group came to see me about a month ago. We discussed their idea. I advised them on how to take care, how to protect it, and then I told them also of how to improve on it. As soon as they do that, it's registered. Voila.
So, picking up from your story, let me first assume I got it right. The 844 system initially was meant to be practical, the way you're doing the CBC.
Yes.
But the problems here, finances here, fear, it came into being 844, which is 844 right now. Don't you think that where Kenya is heading right now with the CBC, we'll see just the same pattern? And what we expect as the CBC curriculum to be as practical as it is, as competent as it is, it ends up just becoming another system, almost like 844.
Interestingly not. I'm extremely optimistic that this is totally different. I'm optimistic because at the level of senior school, we have created 3 pathways. These 3 pathways are actually akin to what we had during the Omindo Commission report, where people went to A level and did either science or arts.
Right.
Now we have this situation where we have the sciences, we're calling it STEM, science, technology, and so on. Then we have the social sciences, which includes the languages. Then we have the sports. With these 3 pathways, a child who is talented in sports and who wouldn't want to be bothered with mathematics and physics sheds that off at junior secondary level. And now the talent can be focused. This child who loves music will have an opportunity to start improving their music, both talent and knowledge, while still in school, so that they continue along those lines. And if upon completion of that, they don't even have to go to university. If they are well talented, start doing their recordings. Now, with the languages, we have people who are talented in languages. English, I speak a little Afrikaans, a little Setswana, a little Jaluo. I can't get lost in Meru. Yes. Luya, yes. I can't get lost. But now, if I had been in the system that had channeled my talent, I identified and channeled it properly, I could probably be speaking Arabic, Chinese, Spanish, and the like. Yeah. Now, so I don't see this as going into that in the direction of the previous ones, because the 3 pathways are clearly marked out. There's no problem with that.
But don't you think there's a challenge with that? Because those of us that went through the 844 systems, where we learned a little bit of everything,
yes,
we've come out with this dynamic type of thinking. Because of math, I know how to think better, calculations. Don't you think that it will bring out a set of students that are not as competent in some areas and competent in others? Or does that encourage collaboration? What do you think about that?
I don't see any level of incompetence. Remember, up to junior secondary, the subjects are there.
All right. So they get a little bit of everything also.
Yes, they are getting a bit of everything. In fact, it is at the junior secondary where they will actually get overwhelmed because they have the biology there, the physics there, the chemistry there, the maths there. Senior secondary is only 3 years, for heaven's sake.
Okay, and I've loved your philosophy of what change is. And now in Kenya or in the world, we are also seeing gradual and an increasing change. We have AI, we have students approaching even punishment in a different way. We have also students, philosophers and scholars understanding that concentration of a child and everything about a student, let me not say child, but a student, they are understanding a student in a different way, and the world is also developing and developing. However, the teacher training system doesn't seem to change to the modern day child. Your school of education, how will it try and develop a teacher in a system that will also accommodate the new world student?
Yeah, very well. We are aware of where we're headed to. That accommodation of the new approach is contained in a subject that we call teaching methods. So we have a unit called teaching methods, and then we have other units called specialized units called subject methods. So we have a general unit called teaching methods, through which we shall expose our students to various methods of teaching, giving them advantages and disadvantages. We are going through the subject methods to show them how to teach chemistry,
Okay.
how to teach geography, how to teach literature. It is in that process that we would also now try to bring out these CBC ideas, how to approach this child who is differently talented. Not only that, but also just to recognize the fact that put together a group of 20 children, 40 children, they are already diverse in their own way. But then now this teacher should be able to challenge and encourage every child at their level, so that no child gets bored, no child gets overburdened. We are already accommodating that in our approach to the training of teachers.
So I like that, and I'd love to channel that to the conversation about AI. How do you ensure that there is integrity in the education system with now the age of AI and the use of AI in learning and doing our assignments and that kind of thing? And are you going to apply that with what you're saying in teaching methods with your lecturers? Will that also be pushed out to other sectors of education, especially in Daystar, apart from the Department of Education?
Let me tell Kenyans, and Kenyans need to know, that we have no reason to fear AI or any other technology that may come after that. First thing we need to know is to understand what AI is, what machine learning is, how the two work, and then see how to use them. Now, at the moment, what has happened is that students are ahead of their teachers, whether at university or wherever.
Yeah.
And now some lecturers are thinking using AI is bad because one is trying to copy. Now some are even trying to use AI without knowing how to use it. We had a case in court not too long ago where an advocate tried to use AI to write court papers. What the advocate didn't understand is that AI gave him quotations, references that are imaginary, that are not real. The judge was able to point that out and was very annoyed with this particular advocate. Now, AI is a good technology, it's here to help us. All we need to do is understand it. In the teaching, we want to teach our people how to use AI responsibly. So they must first understand it, understand what it can do and what it cannot do, and be able also to bring out the individual. The fear amongst my colleagues at Daystar and other universities is that how is that of not being able to challenge a student through the assignments, of a student just relying on AI and submitting and expecting marks. There should be a way, and there will be a way of dealing with that, not with a view to punishing, but with a view to encouraging good use of AI.
I love it. So let's go back now. Let's go to your personal philosophy and let's get to know you a little bit. Though we should have done that before. I'm very curious about Professor Doctor. That is a very, very nice title. I like it. It has a very nice ring to it. So tell us a little more about that.
And the challenge you faced when you decided and you faced backlash, you can't be Professor Dr. Moni Wekesa, but you managed to win the challenge against the challenge.
Now, starting with that, let me start by saying that personally, two things happened to me when I was in Form 2. Number one, I accepted to follow Jesus Christ. Then shortly thereafter, I went to the library, read a newspaper where there was an article about a professor having said something. So I decided that I was also going to be a professor. From that day, it was in the second term of Form 2, I started writing the name on my books, Professor Wekesa. All my Form 2 books have Professor Wekesa on them.
What do you think that communicates to us as students as we come on?
You have to set up your goals very early. So now, going through the motions of education, and I had not started for the national exam by that time.
Right.
I decided I was going to be Professor Wekesa. Okay. So then came the national exams, through them. Going to university, I knew I wanted to be a professor. I met that they are now real professors. So I could sit with them and ask them, what did you do to become a professor? They tell me. So if I want to be a professor, those are the steps. I have to finish a bachelor's, do a master's, do a PhD. So, yeah, that I will do. I remember one time while a first year, I sat in the cafeteria next to a lady lecturer who had just graduated with a PhD, and I had watched that on TV. So my question to her was, Madam, how did you get where you are? She just laughed and told me, it's hard work. Then I told her, okay, where you have reached, I want to reach there and even go beyond. First year university. I was to meet her later on after I got a PhD. We met in the bank and I told her, Professor, I have my PhD. I'm headed to the professorship.
Wow.
Oh, she was very amused. Yeah, okay. Then of course, a PhD is a very exciting thing. People get very excited because now one feels like there's nothing more to do. There's no other academic achievement to strive for in that field. Then I had done sports medicine in Germany, where I had been done further studies for about 6 years. So coming back, the Kenyan teams found me very useful in terms of supporting them and so on. So apart from the teaching, I also served as a team doctor to the football, hockey, volleyball teams and so on. So one time when traveling with the junior national team in 1992 in Finland, one of the boys punched a white boy there and he was arrested. Then I was told, Doctor, can you sort us out? I went to talk to the police, but then at that time I kept asking myself, what law applies here in Finland and how would that affect a Kenyan? I didn't know. So I said, I must go and study law. A year later, I traveled with the national soccer team to Cairo. And then again, one of the boys was arrested because the passport he was carrying was not his.
Wow.
I went to talk to the immigration officers, persuaded them, they released him. Now my resolve to study law was even strengthened, said now, I have all these qualifications, yes, but I'm getting stranded in the course of my work. Yeah, so as things would happen, I went to law school, started with a bachelor's degree. And while there, I got now interested in matters of law, science, and technology. So let me tell you about AI, biotechnology, I'm on top of things. Nanotechnology.
Well informed, right?
Then I noticed my lecturers were not so science oriented with basic things of just arguing whether somebody stole or did not steal. But we are having now more serious challenges, like now the goings on in the US, where some of the fertilizers we're using have been found to be carcinogenic, cancer causing. Now one has to prove that the cancer was caused by that chemical. So that is now science and law at its best. That's my excitement. Yeah. Then I did a PhD. But let me go back a bit. While in Germany, I had many professors who were professor, doctor. There was even one who was professor, doctor.
See.
I would
Wow.
look at them and say,
You like it.
one day I'll be like them.
So are you on your way to another doctor?
I have toyed with that because I still have something hanging.
Right.
I need to do a master's in mathematics,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could do a PhD in that. But
Wow.
then again, thinking about that, I also realized that the people I'm teaching need books.
Mm.
We don't have enough books around, and I'm in that space and that capacity where I can write books for them. So I've decided now to generate books to fill the gap around us, and in the process I don't really get time to now go
Right.
back to class.
Right.
Otherwise that is at the back of my mind. After I retire,
Yeah,
I may
there's
just go
another
to
doctor.
class
Yeah.
to do a master's in mathematics and a
And a
PhD in
PhD.
mathematics.
I love
Okay,
it.
your story leads me to asking almost two things. Because first thing, to get these titles, there's so much hard work that I've even seen just through the story, not even being
Knowing, understand, yeah.
just through the story. So someone telling you that now this is just too much, it brings some sort of feeling in you. I would like to understand that feeling, but also I would like to understand for someone who has gone through all that and then you come to a country like Kenya where people just inflate these titles. We saw recently engineers rallying together to speak against an honorable member in parliament who decided to call himself engineer so and so. And that is just an example of the many other cases that are there. So when you go through all that to get the titles and you see others also inflating, what is that feeling that you have? So those are two feelings that I'm asking about.
Yeah, in fact those two still match into one. That you have people out there who admire and who aspire to have those titles. Some are getting them through the right way, others are trying to get them through the back door. So the whole thing narrows down into one thing: they admire. And let me say that so far I have already been a role model. I know a few other Kenyans who now have 2 PhDs.
So you're also founding father of doctor.
Oh yes, when I was at Mount Kenya, one approached me and said, now can you even supervise supervise my PhD? I want to have 2 PhDs.
Right.
No problem, you have to work.
Right.
Now, then the ones I have interacted with, I know 2 Kenyans who at the moment have 2 PhDs each. And I think there are others who are equally inspired. So for me, that is inspiring other Kenyans, and that is why I insist on the use of that, because it inspires others to work. Now, about anyone saying, oh, it's too much, that is their headache. I have not suffered any constipation by working for the titles.
Okay.
Now, about those who are trying to get things the back way, like the case of the engineer you are referring to.
Okay.
They just fail to realize one thing. Higher education in Kenya is regulated by the Commission for University Education. A person cannot just come from outside and say he's awarding degrees. You must be registered as a university awarding institution in Kenya to award anyone a degree. So whatever happened there was flawed right from the beginning.
Great. And let's talk about ethics, because now ethics also come in play. And you faced very many challenges, and you've also gone against the challenges you faced. There's this story that was making headlines about you winning a case against Kenya Power. You also won a case against MKU, and these cases brought millions and millions in terms of grants and award and grants. What does this speak to about ethics that we have in the society? Ethics that we have about ethics really.
That is more about human rights than ethics. I'll explain the distinction.
Okay.
Human rights are those things that a human being is entitled to by virtue of being a human being. Ethics, on the other hand, is a combination of knowing what is right and what is wrong and making a choice of which one to follow. So ethics touch on individual choice. Human rights actually affect the way other people relate to the individual. The case of Kenya Power, and both cases are still at the Court of Appeal, so I will not talk very much about them.
Yeah.
But if you read the decisions at the High Court, it was a matter of violation of human rights. In the case of Kenya Power, I complained that they tried to impose a decision on me before giving me a hearing, before attending to my complaint. And the court agreed with me. They violated my rights, the High Court.
True.
So we are now fighting it at the Court of Appeal. Mount Kenya also, there's something they did against the law. The court agreed with me. They are not happy with that. We are at the Court of Appeal. We are going through the motions.
But the reason why I asked about ethics more, it was because even before you just helped us to close this interview, when I just talked to some of the support staffs we have in Daystar, and I was telling them, by the way, I'm going to host Professor Dr. Moni Wekesa, they were like, wow, that guy is a great guy. He usually fights against oppressive leaders from those who are really oppressing their support staffs, the servants, etc. And they gave me many examples of how you've helped without even seeking compensation, etc. And I also looked at these cases that were there against you, which made headlines, and I was like, you fought against people who, you see the way someone can tell you, unataka kukuwa na kesi against hiyo watu nini? Hiyo ni ngumu. Watu huko juu wao wanasumbua. But you've gone against it. You've defied the odds. And also the support staff know how you've helped them. That is more about ethics.
That's more human, as he said.
But okay, maybe also in line, but okay, then what would you maybe tell those people who seem to be high in the society and they seem to always
take power and try and insubordinate?
Oh, what I can say about that is that being an advocate is very challenging in itself. To become an advocate, we swear to defend the law without fear or favor. It doesn't matter who is making the mistake. It doesn't matter how highly placed the person is. This is why we take the president to court anytime. So there's nothing like high up there. So long as the high up there has committed a wrong, we want the wrong corrected, period.
Wow, thank you so much, Professor Dr. Wekesa. I'm really looking forward to another. Personally, I'm vouching for it. I'm looking forward to it. And as we conclude, because your future is so bright, are there any things that you are planning to, accomplish as the founding dean of School of Education in Daystar within the next couple of years?
Yeah, there are several things that we need to do. Number one is to revamp the curriculum, to expand it so that we're able to train more teachers. Number two is to also expand the offerings at the master's level. At the moment, we're only offering a Master of Education in Leadership and Policy. I want us to be able to offer Masters in Education, Masters of Education in Curriculum Development, in Communication Technology, in Education Foundations, and so on. Kind of expand the offerings in order to give our graduates a broader opportunity and a broader choice. And then, of course, the PhD program, so that we can also train Kenyans at that apex level to create more departments in the School of Education. At the moment, there's only one. So there's a lot of work that lies ahead. But most critically, two other things. Number one, to create awareness about intellectual property rights at Daystar. I have already started with that, and so far we have 569 people from Daystar who have signed up for the first course. We want to teach them how to create things and how to protect so that they can make money from them. The second one is that I want to run a series of awareness campaigns through which I will bring different leaders together to discuss the state of education on a continuous way, so that we keep on interrogating these things. We keep on assuring our people that we are on the right track. We hear also from the people where we think the leaders are going wrong, so that mistakes can be corrected.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much, Doctor.
Now that brings us to the end of our conversation. There's a quick question from one of our listeners. Do you have a plan of getting student leaders as soon as possible before waiting for the next elections? Student leaders for
the
School of Education.
Now, our students from the School of Education are on vacation at the moment. They come back in September.
Mm-hmm.
As and when they come back, we shall have meetings and then decide, so that should be their decision. Remember, it's not my decision, but I'll float it. And then it's also good to have them so that the voice of the School of Education is heard in all quarters.
Thank you very much, and thank you for just enlightening us and being part of this great conversation that we've had. It was more of a conversation than an interview, right?
Thank you so much, Professor Dr.
Good. Thank you, young people, for hosting me.
Thank you.
I really appreciate. Lakini wewe chai unatengeneza.
Utapata chai.
Watu woma.
Yes.
Wanaleta hapo wageni wanatoka na mdomo kavu.
Kweli. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Good. Thanks for meeting you.
You too.
Very well.